Imposter syndrome is getting a lot of attention right now, but it is far from a new concept. People, and particularly women, have been second guessing themselves in the workforce, and I think it's worth talking about. Hey there, and welcome back to Woman at Work, where we get real about the things too many people avoid talking about at work. Today's topic: imposter syndrome. That nagging little voice that says, you don't belong here, you're not ready, or it's only a matter of time before they find out you're a fraud. Sound familiar? Well, you're not alone. And it's time we stop letting that voice lead the meeting. Here's the thing: imposter syndrome doesn't discriminate. It shows up when you're a brand new intern. It shows up when you just landed that promotion you worked so hard for. And yes, it shows up when you're the most senior person in the room. You can have 20 years of experience and still question whether you deserve your seat at the table. Studies show women are especially prone to imposter syndrome due to societal expectations, internalized perfectionism, and lack of representation at the top. In male-dominated industries or leadership roles, women often feel the pressure to overprove our value. Studies show women are especially prone to imposter syndrome due to societal expectations, internalized perfectionism, and lack of representation at the top. In male-dominated industries or leadership roles, women often feel the pressure to overprove our value. Okay, let me break this down for you. What is imposter syndrome really? Psychologists first defined it in 1978. It's not a diagnosable mental disorder. It's a pattern of doubting your accomplishments and having a persistent fear of being exposed as a fraud despite evidence of your success. And here's the kicker: studies show that up to 70% of all people experience it at some point. And among women, even more so, especially women of color, first-generation professionals, and those stepping into male-dominated fields. So let's talk about ways you can combat these voices in your head. The following are 5 research-backed ways you can tame imposter syndrome. The first way to control these voices is to name it. Acknowledge it out loud. Literally say, "This is imposter syndrome talking." Just naming it can reduce its power. Remember, you're not your thoughts. You're the person having those thoughts. Create some distance between yourself and the voice. Second, it's highly recommended that you keep what's called a brag file. This can include items like screenshots of praise, performance reviews, and project wins. I want you to dust them off and read them when you're having a crappy day. And we've all had crappy days. Remind yourself what's real when you feel self-doubt creeping its way in. Third, talk to your people. In a previous episode, I mentioned the importance of finding your people at work. This is where they can really help to support you. Don't isolate yourself. Call a mentor, a colleague, or your go-to friend who keeps it real. You'll be surprised how many others feel the same way and how talking through it reframes the narrative. On a personal note, I was fortunate enough to have a door that I could close in my last position, and I can't tell you how many times I found myself pacing in my office, replaying a comment I made in a meeting that was taken the wrong way or that just didn't get at the heart of the point I was trying to make. And this was after 25 years in my organization, and I was in a VP role. But honestly, that voice wasn't any different than it was when I was in a coordinator position. Okay, fourth, reframe imposter syndrome. Studies show that people with imposter syndrome often overprepare and work harder. Anyone that knows me knows that I tend to overprepare for everything, and yes, even these videos. So instead of seeing that as insecurity, flip the script. You're feeling this way because you care. You want to do well, and that's not fraud, that's dedication. Fifth, Take time to practice self-compassion. Research from Dr. Kristen Neff shows self-compassion is a game changer when dealing with challenges like imposter syndrome. You are not supposed to know everything. Mistakes aren't a sign of fraud, they're signs you're growing. Okay, let's shift gears for a minute and talk about the role senior leaders play in supporting others. If you've been in your role for a while, there's a good chance you've experienced your own doubts, and you know how lonely it can feel. That's why it's imperative for those of us who've climbed the ladder to look back and extend a hand. Here's the truth. Too often, leaders stay silent, protect their territory, and unintentionally isolate rising talent, especially younger women or new hires stepping into visible roles. Instead of seeing new energy as a threat, let's see it as an opportunity to mentor, guide, and grow together. Ask your colleagues how they're really doing in their new role. Make time for check-ins that aren't just performance related. Offer feedback and reassurances. You may want to simply say something like, I remember what it was like to be new, and you're not alone. I've seen senior leaders stay in their lane, protect their status, and miss the chance to develop somebody with incredible potential simply because they felt threatened. I've also seen senior leaders take time out of their busy days to say, you wouldn't be sitting here if you didn't earn it. You belong here. Let's talk about what you're feeling. That one simple exchange can shift an entire career. We have to make room at the table. Support new hires. Uplift the mid-level manager trying to find her way through the complexities of a dynamic work environment. Because guess what? Their rise doesn't take anything away from yours. There is space here for all of us. So if you're in a position of influence, use it. Don't just lead the team, lead the culture. Be the reason someone stayed, succeeded, and started to believe in themselves again. So the next time you feel like a fraud, ask yourself, would I talk to my best friend the way I'm talking to myself right now? Probably not. You are not here by accident. You are here because you've done the hard work and because your voice matters. And if you need a reminder, come back here. Because at Woman to Woman at Work, we're building space where we own our stories, silence the lies, and lift one another up. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below if this hit home for you. Tell us, when has imposter syndrome shown up in your life, and how did you fight back? I'll see you next time on Woman to Woman at Work.